Had you ever seen so many fish together? Stay tuned for the biggest amount of fish I've ever seen together in the same place. But before starting this video, I want to tell you guys a story that proves that the only thing better than the sport itself in spearfishing, that is the community. Do you remember that video from last week with the meal preps where I caught a cuttlefish? If not, go check it out now and come back later to this video. The thing is that after going out of the water with the cuttlefish, I started cleaning it by the rocks. And while I was doing it, two guys about my age came out of the water as well. I was surprised, as you don't usually get to see guys about my age spearing. So I began small talk with them like, how did it go? Do you guys usually fish around here? And they seemed pretty friendly. So I asked them about their Instagrams and proposed to go together once, to which they agreed. Well, a few days later, I met one of them and we went together. We actually went to the same place, but this time to a different spot with some beautiful caves that I didn't know about. I even decided to join their spearing club, which has allowed me to meet a lot of new people. Many of them experienced it in the sport that have taught me a lot of things. And that's how establishing small talk with two unknown guys snowballed into a big expansion of my network. Know new fishing spots, and made me improve many parts of my fishing technique. As we got into the water, we decided to check on some caves that we had heard about, but they were quite empty. However, I started to worry. Despite not being deep at all, I started having equalizing problems and I couldn't really hold my breath very long and didn't know why, which made me fear the worst, looking like an absolute fool in front of Danny, who I had just met. After not finding anything there, we decided to move to the spot that he knew, and as we were approaching it, I started doing some ambushes to warm up. Luckily, as the time passed by and I warmed up, I started getting very comfortable in the water and all the problems disappeared. A few moments later, I spotted a very big wrasse from the surface, arguably the biggest I've ever seen, so I prepared my strategy and dived down. The plan was to dive a bit to the side, not to scare it, turn around and shoot, but I screwed up and dived too close, scaring it a little bit into a bunch of seaweed. However, I wanted to take the chance and blindly shoot at the place I expected it to be, but despite being very close, I didn't manage to land it. Later on, I kept ambushing, and at some point I spotted a fish that I don't see that often, a rainbow wrasse. I wanted to catch it as they're said to be quite tasty, but I was not sure of the legal size, so after all I decided to let it live. This rainbow wrasse belonged to the same family that the wrasse that I usually fish, which are more specifically called ballan wrasse. They are all labridae. I kept diving, and not so long afterwards I found myself with another chance at a good wrasse, and this time I didn't miss. However, notice the little movement that the wrasse does just before I pulled the trigger. That movement was enough to change my shot placement, which went from good to terrible. And to top it all off, while the fish started swimming in circles trying to break free, I had the stupid idea of pulling the rope instead of diving and directly grabbing the fish. When the only thing holding the fish attached to the shaft is a thin piece of flesh, just like here, the tiniest tension on the line is enough to tear it apart, which is what happened here. But I wasn't planning on giving up, so I kept searching, and you know what they say, thirst the charm. On one of my ambushes, I was moving around the seabed, and when I turned my head left, I saw a very good sized wrasse head into a cave. So I quickly turned around the spear again, and without even having time to aim, bam! First fish of the day. Straight after this catch, I was reloading and I saw some good wrasse just below me, so I hurried to reload in and dive down. There I chose the biggest one, which happened to be laying on a rock making a very easy shot. I aimed at it and miserably failed, to what the wrasse didn't adopt and coming back to mock me.
Bro, for real?
But despite this setback, I continued my journey, and as there were fish everywhere that day, it didn't take long until the next catch. The usual roll. Spotted a few from the surface, dived down, started the ambush, filtering through many possible options, finding the best one, and lights out. While I was dispatching that last wrasse, Danny came up and told me that he had found a cave with a ridiculous amount of fish. He had never seen anything like that, so I followed him there, but as we were approaching it, I saw that he had already taken a shot in it, so I was a bit hesitant about the fish still being there. But when I dived down and checked, there were indeed a surprising amount of good wrasse in it, so I selected one of them and speared it. Can't imagine how that cave must have been before Danny's shot. And now here's the moment I promised in the introduction. I wasn't even expecting anything. I just saw a few wrasse from the surface, but when I dived down, I started ambushing, and they would keep appearing out of nowhere non-stop. Can you even count how many of them were in that one dive? Those are the moments I die for. I was so fascinated by the moment that I couldn't even shoot one, because I just wanted to appreciate the encounter. Let's go back and try to count them. Lastly, I caught a fourth one, but by then my camera had died already. I'll just show you this photo as proof. And that was it for today. My first time fishing with another dive buddy that is an actual spearo. And it couldn't go better. Great day in terms of catches, even better in terms of vibes. Super chill day in a very beautiful seabed with loads of fish. I think the takeaway of this video is quite clear. Trigger your extrovert side if you haven't already, and talk to people because you don't know what new adventure might be awaiting you if you do. The spearo community is absolutely great. And 99% of the time, you'll find great people that you can learn a lot from. If you enjoyed this journey as much as I did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because this will not be your last fishing together. See you in the next one.